At the end of each year, our school Cosmic Academy compiles all the statistics and numbers from how well our students did for that 12-month period. And we just got our numbers back for 2022, and it's just unbelievable. For the year of 2022, our students signed over 300 records to labels. And that's an increase from 2021, where it was still incredible, and our students signed over 100 records to labels. So how did our students do this? And what can I teach you today so you could do it too? And by the way, these are not just like DistroKid self-release. These are real labels, and some of them are the biggest labels in the industry. This year we got on Anjuna, Mousetrap, Drumcode, Monstercat, Prida, Nightbase, Confession, DimMac, Insomniac, Revealed. I could go on forever, but I want this video to be kind of quick. And these songs, they performed really well. We had over 80 Beatport top 10s. We had dozens of students crack over 100,000 listens on Spotify on these tracks. And all these results lead to our students playing EDC, Ultra, Beyond Wonderland, and a lot of them are going on national tours. So clearly, I think our school is pretty good at teaching this stuff. So here are my 7 biggest tips on getting your record signed 2023. Tip number 1, your quality. Of course, your music will be the most important factor in your music getting signed. Let's get more specific. It's not enough just to have a catchy tune. You need what we call professional quality sound. You see, when you send a song to a label, you have to realize that they're getting hundreds or thousands of other songs, and they're going to judge you. It would be impossible for them to listen to your whole song, so they're only going to listen to a few seconds, and they're going to judge the quality. My students will come to me and say, but Justin, my second drop, it's so catchy, it's really cool. They might not make it to your second drop. They're going to judge you and be able to hear very quickly, do you understand the fundamentals of quality? How's the compression, the EQ, the sound design, the mix, the vocal processing? They're going to judge you on those things, and within a few seconds, they're going to decide, should they keep listening? That's the gatekeeper, the quality. And that's why it's so important that you have to be honest with yourself. Our school, Cosmic Academy, we receive between 50 to 100 applicants every single week, thousands of applicants every single year. And sadly, so many bedroom producers think that their music's already at 100%. For those people, we turn them down. You have to realize that there's always quality that you can grow. There's always space for you to get better. And understand when you're sending a song to a label, you're not just competing with other bedroom producers. No, the other people that are also sending music to the label are the other top level artists already on that label. Like you might be submitting to Anjuna, well, so is Jason Ross, so is 7 Lines. You might be submitting to Spinnin, well, so are the other biggest producers in the world. Because when you're asking for someone to sign your song, you're saying, I want to take a slot that someone else was going to take on the release calendar. And those people, those producers, they're getting better and better and better. So listen, I want you to be confident. I'm sure your stuff is really good, but you need to be honest with yourself. Is your quality really a 10 out of 10 in all those fundamental areas? If it isn't, that's okay. Go take a class on sound design. Go take a Udemy class on mixdowns or mastering or whatever it may be and improve. Next tip. Number 2, your marketing. I've said it in my other videos, I tell my students this line all the time. Before they listen, they will look. I spent years as a talent buyer throwing shows, and I'm guilty of this, and so are the record labels. If you send someone your song, most of the time, they're gonna check you out first. Before they waste a minute listening to you, they're gonna check out your Instagram or your TikTok, your Spotify. They wanna see if you look professional, if people give a shit about you. You could have a great song sitting in that email, but if they check out your Instagram and it looks like a mess, or you have no content, or you're just negative fighting in the comments with people, they're probably gonna wanna work with someone else. Taking the extra time to make some content, build your online presence, it really matters today. So many producers want to tell me it's just the music that matters. Maybe a few years ago, I would agree with you. For 2023, people discover music on social media, which means your marketing 1000% matters. And if you're not even trying, then why would a label want to work with you? It immediately tells them that you're not going to put in extra effort, you're not going to give them the extra push, and they want to see someone who's willing to do the work. So spend some time getting your marketing and your branding right, and you'll start seeing some results. Let's jump to tip number 3, your community. This is not just about your network and who you know. Sure, having a great network is good, but community, that's something more. I look at our school and I see this incredible community that we've built over the last 10 plus years with 650 artists. And it doesn't just help my students from a networking perspective. There's something more important than that. You know, when you're just like sitting there alone and you like hate your snare drum, you just can't sleep, you just hate this snare drum, it's just like destroying your whole day. You're considering destroying the project, you're considering just like blowing up your music career over the snare drum. Smash that like button if you feel me on that. I know you've all been there. Smash that like for me. Well, if you're sitting there and you're alone and you're trying to do this by yourself, that's a really tough feeling. But if you have people around you, a community, someone's gonna grab you and say, hey, that snare drum is not so bad. It's not worth destroying everything over. Come with me, let's go fix it, we'll work on something else. And that's what community is really about, having people around you to pick you up. The music business is really lonely. And most people, they're sitting there, they're doing this on their own, and they call us bedroom producers, right? So having a community is gonna make this journey easier. They're gonna give you support, they're gonna give you positivity. And that brings me to tip number 4, your feedback. You need quality feedback. And yes, this is something that you can get from a community. I have videos on both of these topics, which I'll pop up somewhere on the screen. One of the reasons my students succeed in signing records because they're constantly improving by attending weekly feedbacks. And also, the feedback makes sure they don't send music until it's ready. This is so crucial. In our Cosmic Academy feedbacks, common question I hear all the time is, hey everybody, do you think my song is label ready? Being able to ask that question could save you embarrassment, rejection. It could save the record. Labels don't like their time being wasted. Sometimes there's just some small problem that you might have missed. But if you don't have people that you trust for feedback, then how do you know? So whether you attend a school like ours or something else like it, you gotta find some trusted folks who can give you honest feedback on that music. You need to know your song is ready before you shop it to a label. Let's go to the next tip. Number 5, your consistency. In 2023, consistency is king. Labels don't want to sign an artist that makes one song a year. Sure, you can tell me about Eric Prydz and Skrillex that put out like one song or one album every 3 years, but you are not those people. For people just starting out, you must release consistent music. Labels want to work with artists who are on the up and up. I hate this word. They want to work with artists who are fresh, and that means artists that are active. And by the way, it's not just the labels. The people who are actually dictating that consistency is king, it's the fans. People have such a short attention span today. It's like they need new stuff all the time. And we're all kind of guilty in it. You know, this is where the world is in 2023. Look, when I was a kid growing up, I could have one album that I would just listen to all the time for months or an entire year. But today, people want new stuff consistently. And this doesn't just go for your music. You need your marketing, your content to also be consistent. Labels and fans need to see that you're active. So just like you don't want to just put one song out a year, you also don't want to put one post out every single year. Until you're a big touring artist with a huge reputation, you need to keep it consistent. Tip number 6 is your approach. Pitching your music to labels needs to be a personal experience. Mass emailing 500 labels on BCC is not how this is done. My students get excellent results because they make personal relationships. And then they individually send their songs out. So how do you do that? It's 2023. It is easier than ever to connect with people online or find out who works where. It's truly incredible. So go find your target labels, find out who works there, and start networking with them online. And let me be clear, you do not want to pitch them just out of the blue. Try to be a human, a friendly person about this. Start by forming a connection, engaging with their social media, commenting on their stuff, real comments from the heart, and try your hardest to develop an actual relationship before you hit them up. No one wants to be sold. There's so many studies on this. People don't want something from a salesperson. However, if someone feels like your friend, they'll take it. So make sure you examine your approach. Relationship and friendship comes first, then politely ask if you can send a song. A lot of times, if you're doing enough of the friendship building, relationship building, they might actually come to you. They might say, oh, I like this kid. I like this person. Let me see if they have any music. And that's a true thing that happens to our students. Anjuna came to us asking about Bexy, Rebecca. Dr. Fresh came to our student Armada, all because they were doing this other thing. So number 6, make sure your approach comes from an angle of relationship, not pitching. And finally, probably the most important tip I have for you, and the real reason our students signed over 300 records last year, number 7, your attitude. This is everything. Your attitude, your focus, your positivity, your entire outlook. That will affect everything we discussed today. If a producer has a negative attitude, it's going to destroy everything we discussed today. And I'm sure you can probably think of someone like this. They could be the most talented producer in the world, but if they're just sour or toxic or negative, or they think they know it all, then they're probably destined to fail. Sure, they might have some initial luck, but for long-term success, the people that stick around the longest and have long careers are the people with the best attitudes. When I look at the artists that I booked, that I worked with when I was a concert producer, Axwell, Zed, we've met with David Guetta. These are the nicest people in the world, amazing attitudes. And then shout out to our students. Just talking about our students, if you've ever met Nostalgics or Bexy or Taylor Torrance or Charles D, these are the nicest people, the best attitudes. They lead with giving. They're positive. They don't think they're better than anyone. And of course, they're always striving to do more. And this attitude thing, it really does affect everything else. I actually have an entire video breaking down this topic of attitude. So I'm gonna have this pop up somewhere on the screen. Make sure you watch this next.